The mighty Euphrates River used to near Khaled al-Hamis's farm, but now the river is only visible from a distance. The crops have been destroyed due to the lack of irrigation. Even worse, the farmer's family has been left without drinking water.
300-year-old paths and hedges laid bare by record-setting heat. Most were revealed by falling water levels as rivers shriveled.
You may not have heard this, but in the past couple of months, the Middle East has been a hotspot of geopolitical tensions, and lately, the situation has only grown worse. From the launching of rockets from Iraq's Zumar into northeastern Syria to the attempted drone attack on the al-Asad air base in Iraq, the region has been on edge, with the threat of further escalation looming. Surprisingly, amidst these escalating conflicts, an even more terrifying event has unfolded, one that threatens to have catastrophic global consequences. After years of severe drought conditions, the mighty Euphrates River, a lifeline for civilizations, has finally dried up completely.
Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up. But now it has sunk to a historic low, sparking the region's worst water crisis in years. Our next report tells you more.
Revealing a startling discovery that has left the world stunned. What are the implications of this dry-up for humanity? Also, what discoveries were made in its depths? Let's find out. Drying of the Euphrates River. The gradual drying up of the Euphrates River first began to emerge as a concerning trend a few years ago. Initially, the water levels were observed to be decreasing at a modest pace, sections of the riverbed becoming exposed during the drier months, only to be replenished during the rainy season, which drew some attention from local authorities and environmental organizations. But it didn't seem like a full-blown crisis, so they were relaxed a bit. However, year after year, the situation just kept getting worse due to diverse factors. The water levels kept dropping at an alarming rate until suddenly, the once mighty Euphrates shrunk to a series of disconnected pools, puddles, and parched, cracked landscape. Now, this looked serious. Concerned residents and experts helplessly watched as this vital waterway that had sustained communities for millennia vanished before their eyes, but they were as helpless as the river, and eventually, what they feared the most happened. The battle was lost, the Euphrates had dried up completely, and no drop of water was left. But something happened. For a short while, there was widespread sadness, but that didn't last, as it seemed this particular tragedy had swiftly become a blessing, because staring right in our faces were discoveries that astounded everyone, especially as it revealed mind-blowing secrets about this waterway and the ancient civilizations that had thrived along its banks. But guess what? In the midst of this unfolding narrative, the renowned American broadcaster, UFC color commentator, podcaster, comedian, actor, and former television host, Joe Rogan, has recently made some revelations that have further captivated global attention. Rogan's insights, shared on his popular podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, have added an intriguing new dimension to the story of the vanishing Euphrates.
The Euphrates is one of the longest rivers located in the Middle East, but it is rapidly drying up. Large stretches have become nearly completely dry. But here's the scary thing. The Bible was written over 2,000 years ago and predicts the Euphrates drying up.
But before we get to that, let's take a quick detour at the history of this legendary river and its role in shaping the rise and fall of some of the greatest empires of the ancient world. The Euphrates. In history, the Euphrates River has been a cornerstone of human civilization in the Middle East for millennia, playing a pivotal role in the rise and fall of some of the most powerful empires the world has ever known. Dating back to biblical times, the Euphrates, as one of the 4 rivers flowing from the Garden of Eden. It tells you just how crucial it was in the lives and rise of those early Mesopotamian societies and even the Sumerian and Akkadian empires. It wasn't just the river that was of great importance, but the fertile floodplains along it that provided the perfect conditions for advanced agricultural practices to take root and thrive. It's no wonder these ancient civilizations were able to grow and expand so dramatically. But food production wasn't the only thing the river was good at. This majestic waterway also served as a vital trade network, which allowed merchants and traders to efficiently move all sorts of goods, agricultural products, raw materials, luxury items, you name it, between different regions and cultures. With such immense historical significance, who would have believed that the Euphrates have also been a hotbed and source of conflict for thousands of years? Flowing right through the heart of the Middle East, this mighty river has been an epic battleground where some of the biggest power struggles and clashes of civilizations in human history have played out over the centuries. It all started in ancient Mesopotamia, with fierce rivalries between major kingdoms like Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, and Assyria. These ancient powers knew that whoever controlled the Euphrates also controlled the region's valuable farmlands and trade routes. So they'd go to war repeatedly, and victory or defeat on the river often decided the fate of an entire civilization. But then, as those Mesopotamian empires started to decline, the Euphrates became a new frontier for the rising powers of the classical world. In the 5th century BC, there was the Greco-Persian Wars, where Persian kings like Darius and Xerxes were fighting tooth and nail to try and hold on to their grip on Mesopotamia as the expanding Greek influence threatened to take it over. But it didn't end there. The cycles of conflict continued as armies would clash along the river, each side desperate to seize control of this vital waterway and the surrounding territories. Surprisingly, even in the 21st century, the Euphrates River is still causing many problems between the countries that share its waters, even today. Countries like Turkey, Syria, and Iraq are always fighting over how to use the Euphrates and who gets to control it. For example, look at what happened in the late 1980s during the Euphrates River crisis.
Wow, look at this. This used to be a lake.
Here, the level water before 1 year, 2 meters.
2 meters?
Yeah.
That's about 6 feet high. Wow. And now this is just totally dead?
Like a desert.
In 1984, Turkey started building a massive dam called the Ataturk Dam on the Euphrates. This dam had the power to seriously reduce the amount of water flowing into Syria and Iraq, and those countries were worried about that. Mind you, Syria and Iraq depend a lot on the Euphrates River for things like watering their crops, providing drinking water, and powering their industries. So when Turkey started building this big dam, Syria decided to build its dam, called the Tabqa Dam, to try and maintain control over the Euphrates within its borders. But in 1989, the tension escalated when Turkey decided they'd cut off the flow of the Euphrates by 50%, saying they needed to fill up the Ataturk Dam's reservoir, a plan that didn't sit well with the neighboring nations as it caused major water shortages and problems for agriculture for them. So angry, Iraq got angry at Turkey, accusing them of using the river's water as a political weapon, while Syria threatened to bomb the Ataturk Dam if the water cuts continued. And before we knew it, the situation got so bad that the three countries started moving their military forces along the Euphrates River basin. At this point, there was a high risk of a war breakout as each side refused to back down on their claims to the river's water. However, after many negotiations, they reached a temporary agreement in 1987, where Turkey agreed to keep a minimum amount of water flowing into Syria. However, the underlying tensions and competition over the Euphrates were never really resolved, as even to this day, the Euphrates River remains a major source of friction and potential conflict in the Middle East. Despite the conflict the river and its surrounding regions have been plagued with, its dry-up has posed a more significant concern amongst the religious people, especially due to its significance and role in the unfolding of every dreadful event. To understand the extent of these events, we will have to look at their prophetic significance. But before then, let us reveal the surprising discoveries that were made after they dried up. Get ready for an exciting ride through the depths of the Euphrates. Groundbreaking discoveries under the dried Euphrates. Over the years, the droughts that had plagued the waters gave way to very shocking revelations. The first discovery was made just after a severe drought hit the water a few years ago. Upon receding, to the surprise of many, the water revealed an ancient city dating back 3,400 years that had been hidden for centuries. It was the first time such a discovery was made, and they were so excited that archaeologists decided to explore the site.
A team of archaeologists discovered a 3,400-year-old city which was once located on the Tigris River.
Unfortunately, they could only do little as the water had quickly risen again, covering it back up. It was very disappointing, but fortunately for them, a few years later, another drought hit the region, and the ancient city re-emerged from the depths. Not taking chances, Hassan Ahmed Qasim from the Kurdistan Archaeology Organization quickly mobilized his team and made it to the river base, where they quickly mapped out the area and started excavating to avoid history repeating itself. Well, guess what? Their efforts paid off because, aside from the city, they made other amazing discoveries, like the remains of a grand palace, with its 22 feet high and 6 feet thick walls still standing. Now, for a structure submerged in water for centuries, that was incredible. But you know what was most shocking? The vibrant red and blue wall paintings used to adorn the palace's interior were still intact. But that was just the beginning of the surprises this place held. The team discovered a still in good shape, massive, multi-story building they called the Huge Magazine Building. It was an important storage center for goods and materials traded globally. At this point, the waters started to rise back up, but the archaeologists knew they had made a discovery that would rewrite the story of this long-buried civilization. Just when you thought the wonders of the ancient lost city had been fully uncovered, the archaeological team made an even more incredible discovery: a collection of ceramic vessels with over 100 cuneiform tablets inside of them, many still sealed in their original clay envelopes. What astonished them was how these unfired clay tablets survived decades submerged underwater. Eager to decipher the contents of the tablets, knowing they could unlock remarkable secrets about this ancient world, the researchers carefully examined the tablets, and boy, were they shocked by their thrilling discovery. On one of the tablets was a seal impression belonging to a known historical figure, Gimil Ninkarak, from the ancient city of Turka in Mesopotamia. This connection was a game-changer, as it showed Gimil Ninkarak had played a significant role in creating the document, likely holding a position of authority within the ancient community. Researchers were thrilled at the thought of learning more about this individual and gaining unprecedented insights into the daily life and workings of the lost city. But the more the team studied the tablets, the more they knew they were on the verge of unlocking remarkable secrets about this ancient civilization, and the more unanswered questions they had. Could these cuneiform texts reveal more details about the people who once lived here, their social structures, trade networks, and beliefs? They had to continue their search to find out, and so they did. When the archaeologists uncovered the trove of cuneiform tablets in the submerged ruins of the ancient Mitanni city, they knew they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. But as they dived deeper into deciphering the inscriptions, a remarkable story began to unfold. Unlike the often propaganda-filled historical records, these tablets were like personal diaries, offering an unfiltered glimpse into the city's residents' concerns, struggles, and relationships. But it didn't stop there. The more they searched, the more things unfolded, until they discovered 14 more tablets that referenced Gimil Ninkarak, many of which were found within what appeared to be his residence.
Holding a tablet that was written thousands of years ago and being able to read what it says, it's an amazing feeling.
Not only that, this particular discovery also revealed the lives of less fortunate individuals, like a girl named Gautam, who faced financial and personal hardships. The insights these tablets gave were so detailed that it gave the researchers the rare privilege to peer into even the tiniest details of that 18th century ancient Turkey society and its individuals, a luxury that conventional history couldn't give. It was a stunning revelation, not the grand, sweeping narrative of empires and kings, but the human story of a community struggling to survive and thrive in the face of challenges. Ultimately, this extraordinary find was more than a collection of ancient artifacts. It was a window into the past, a chance to foster a deep connection with those who had long since passed. As the excavation continued, the researchers marveled at the resilience of this ancient civilization, whose structures, ornaments, and now written records had endured the passage of time, and with each new find came an incredible glimpse into a long-lost world. At this point, these excavations were getting more interesting, and the more they dug, the more they were surprised. Guess what their next discovery was? A series of ancient tombs along the banks of the Euphrates, in places like Adıyaman in Turkey and Anbar province in Iraq. And you won't believe what they found in these tombs? These tombs, believed to date back to the Roman period, were filled with fascinating artifacts, pottery, gold jewelry, coins, and even important documents. But the Euphrates had even more to reveal, as just after that, the archaeologists also found an ancient fortress known as Rumkale, or the Golden Castle, located at the point where the Euphrates meets another river, the Murzimin Creek. This impressive structure had seen the rise and fall of countless empires, from the Assyrians and Babylonians to the powerful Armenian kingdom. But you know what? This castle was more special than other discoveries because it blended seamlessly with the surrounding landscape. The cliffs that it was built upon seemed to embrace the fortress, creating a natural and beautiful sight. But that's not all. Sit tight, because the ride got wilder. Who would have thought that this river also had caves hidden in them? You heard that right. As the archaeologists dug further with their full energy, they stumbled upon a series of mysterious caves of irregular shapes and precise construction hidden beneath the water's surface, and what they found inside was terrifying. First, they discovered ancient scripts of an unknown language and walls adorned with beautiful cave paintings and symbols and imagery that were unlike anything they had ever seen. But this was nothing close to their next discovery. In a terrifying turn of events that would make these archaeologists pee in their pants, terrifying echoes, groans, and growls began to come from the caves. At one point, some people even claimed to have heard the unsettling sound of chains rattling, as if some unseen entity, who some claimed to be the four fallen angels, whom the Bible in the book of Revelation chapter 9 verse 14 said were captured and held captive, and in due time will be released to wipe out the human population, was staring right at them from the pitch darkness of the cave.
Have you heard about the creepy sounds coming from the secret tunnel under the Euphrates River? After a portion of the river dried up, expeditions led to the discovery of a tunnel that went deep into the earth. And these are the sounds that are said to be heard.
With each discovery, the stakes grew higher, and the team found themselves torn between the thrill of unlocking ancient secrets and the growing sense of dread that something sinister lurked within the shadows of the Euphrates caves. As scary as these experiences were, the researchers ventured into some of these caves, and this time, what they found was earth-shattering. Remember, before now, they had only seen remnants of the Mitanni and Roman empires, but as they went deeper, they made another significant discovery: the remnants of the ancient Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, alongside a trove of figurines and ritual objects, which provided valuable insights into the religious practices of these cultures. For a water body of that magnitude, these discoveries were unmistakably the most significant chilling ever seen for millennials. But not as mind-shifting as the implications its dry-up will have on the human race. Implications of the Euphrates River dry-up. If you think the tensions with the neighboring communities against themselves in a bid to gain absolute dominance is devastating, wait till you hear Joe Rogan said will be the implications this event will have on our world, according to records in the Bible and Hadith. The biblical book of Revelation mentions the drying up of the Euphrates River. Some Christians see it as a significant prophetic event that will occur before the return of Christ and the end of the world as we know it. In the 9th chapter of the book of Revelation, we learn that 4 angels have been bound at the great river Euphrates, Revelation 9:14, waiting to be released, and when they are, they will lead a vast and destructive army. However, the most significant moment would come in chapter 16, when the 6th plague is poured out, causing the Euphrates to dry up completely. This may seem like an innocuous event, but the implications are far-reaching. You see, the drying of the Euphrates is seen as a sign that the way might be prepared for the kings from the east, Revelation 16:12, a reference to the gathering of the armies of the world for the ultimate battle, the one we know as Armageddon. So, in the eyes of those who believe in the literal interpretation of the book of Revelation, the Euphrates River is no mere waterway. It is a gateway, a barrier holding back the forces of darkness until the appointed time. And when that barrier is breached, either through the release of the angels or the drying up of the river, it signals the unleashing of the apocalyptic forces that will culminate in the showdown between good and evil. But here's where the plot thickens. The Islamic hadiths, or traditional teachings, also speak of the Euphrates River playing a pivotal role in the end times, and their predictions are more harrowing. In the Islamic faith, some hadiths talk about what will happen to the Euphrates River before the world ends. These hadiths are the words and teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, and they're taken very seriously by Muslims. One of the most famous hadiths, narrated by Imran bin Hussein, says that the Euphrates River is going to uncover some treasure, and when that happens, anyone who is there at the time should not take any of it, as that's going to be a sign that the end of the world is here. Still, in Islam, another one says that the Euphrates River will dry up completely, and when that happens, it will reveal a whole bunch of gold. But just like the other hadiths, it warns people not to try and take any of that gold, because it will be a sign that the world is about to end. But the most terrifying was the hadith, which said the Euphrates River would uncover a giant mountain of gold. But the really scary part is where the hadith said that the presence of this gold will lead to a huge catastrophe where people will start fighting, and 99 out of every 100 people who are there will end up dying in the fighting. That's a very scary thing to say, but these things were not just written for fancy. The fact that the hadith had to clearly mention it not once, not twice, but 3 whole times shows how important it is and the gravity of the situation. Though clear and straight to the point, some religious scholars had to look at these old sayings and tried to figure out what they meant. To some, the hadith about gold being uncovered and the Euphrates River drying up are supposed to be taken literally. These events will happen before the end of the world. But to others, the gold and the drying river represent the temptation of wealth and how it can corrupt people, leading to conflict and trouble in society. But it's quite concerning how a river, which has been a blessing to many, the bedrock of civilizations and the foundation upon which many empires were built, has suddenly become something to be wary of. Since those prophecies were made, religious folks have sought fulfillment. The first half of the prophecy about the drying up of the river has been fulfilled, leaving the scary question of, what next, on the lips of many. Are we in the end times? Has the mountain of gold finally been found? Going back in time, we know there used to be gold mines near the Euphrates that provided gold for big empires like the Assyrians and Babylonians. But these mines weren't directly connected to the river. They were just nearby. Fast forward to now, some small-scale gold mining is happening in the Euphrates River, especially in eastern Syria. The local people use simple tools to dig some gold from the riverbed. However, the geology experts cautioned against getting too excited, as this doesn't necessarily mean huge gold deposits are hidden in the river. According to them, the gold that's being found is probably just coming from the natural erosion of gold-bearing rocks in the area around the river, as the major gold deposits don't tend to build up in riverbeds, since the heavy gold particles usually sink into the bedrock instead of getting carried downstream. With this uncovered, are we still in sync with the unfoldings of the biblical prophecies? Will there be an emergence of a mountain of gold? If you have any thoughts to air as regards this matter, kindly do so in the comments section. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Shalom.